The modern ocean is a scary place filled with barracuda, sharks, super squids, and possibly sea tulhu. However, no matter what we find in the depths these days, none of them seem to come close to the giant terrors that roam the seas in Earth's past. Giant sea lizards, monster sharks, and even hypercarnivorous whales. For most of these things, humans would barely qualify as a snack. Here are 10 of the scariest prehistoric sea monsters to ever call the ocean home in prehistory. Basilosaurus. Despite the name and appearance, that is not a reptile but actually a whale. Basilosaurus was a predatory ancestor of modern whales and could be 50 to 85 feet long. It is described as being the closest a whale has ever come to being a snake because of how long and sinuous it was. Imagine swimming in the ocean with an 80 plus foot long alligator plus snake plus whale. Now imagine being afraid to even take bath ever again. Physical evidences suggest that Basilosaurus did not have the cognitive ability of modern whales, nor the ability to echolocate and could only navigate in two dimensions. So, at least this monster whale was dumber than a bag of prehistoric hammers and could not chase you if you dove or scrambled out on dry land, probably forever. Liopleurodon. If Jurassic Park had an aquarium scene and actually featured more animals from the Jurassic period, Liopleurodon probably would have been in it. Although the actual length of this beast is contested, most agree that it was around 20 feet in length, with a full fifth of that being pointy-toothed head. When the mouth of the smaller estimate is still plenty large to eat you whole, I think that is perfectly huge enough. Scientists have tested the paddle design of these creatures on small swimming robots and found that although they would not have been incredibly fast, they were incredibly agile. They also would have been able to make short, fast burst attacks like crocodiles, which in no way makes them any less intimidating. Mauisaurus. Mauisaurus was named after the Maori god Maui, who pulled the islands of New Zealand up from the seafloor with a fish hook. So, already you know this thing is going to be enormous. The neck of Mauisaurus measured up to 49 feet long, the longest proportionate neck of any living thing aside from some sauropod dinosaur. Their overall length was about 66 feet, and that ridiculously long neck had plenty of vertebrae, implying it that it was flexible. Imagine a snake strung to a sea turtle with no shell, and you have an approximate idea of what this thing looked like. It lived back in the Cretaceous era, meaning that creatures that jumped in the water, avoid velociraptors and tyrannosaurus, had to contend with these. The jury is out on which is worse. As far as science can tell, Mauisaurus was limited to the New Zealand area, showing that the area that would one day become Australia and its neighbors was always a land of terror. Megalodon. Megalodon is probably the best known creature in the list. It's hard to keep the idea of a shark the size of a school bus out of pop culture. Plus, science minded entertainment sources like the Discovery Channel love creatures that could pass for a movie monster, despite the popular idea that Megalodon coexisted with dinosaurs. They lived from 25 to 1.5 million years ago, meaning that at best they missed the last dinosaur by 40 million years. On the other hand, this meant they might have still been around for the first humans. Megalodons swam the warm ocean that were around till the last ice age in the early Pleistocene, which may have robbed them of their breeding grounds and food. Sometimes it seems nature has her back. Dunkleosteus. Dunkleosteus was a 30-foot long carnivorous tank. It was outlasted by sharks, but I am sure that is small consolation for the variety of creature this beast ate. Instead of teeth, it had bony ridges like a turtle. It has been calculated that they had a bite force of 8,000 pounds per square, putting it on par with crocodiles and T-Rex. in terms of being history's strongest biters. They also believe, based on the evidence in the skull regarding its musculature, that it could have opened its mouth in 1/5 of a second, meaning it vacuumed food into guillotine of a mouth. The plates that made up the teeth changed as the fish aged from a solid, rigid jaws to segments that allowed to hold prey easier and made it more effective in biting through the bony plate armor of other armored fish. In the arms race that was prehistoric ocean, Dunkleosteus was a predatory supertank. Mosasaurus. Mosasaurus are very large extinct marine reptiles with some species reaching lengths of over 50 feet and are considered to be some of the fearsome predators to ever inhabit our ocean. They first emerged during the Cretaceous period, 90 million years ago, and became the ocean's dominant predators with the extinct of the Ichthyosaurus and decline of Plesiosaurus. Mosasaurus went extinct during the Cretaceous Paleozoic extinction event which killed all the dinosaurs. Mosasaurus had to come to the surface to breathe air. It had a varied diet which included other mosasaurs, sharks, fish, and ammonites. The largest mosasaur could reach 57 feet long, though many were in 20 to 30 feet range. Kronosaurus. Kronosaurus is another short-necked pliosaur. Unlike Liopleurodon, its overall length has been contested. It was a mere 30 feet long and the longest teeth in its massive mouth were up to 11 inches long. That is why it was named after Cronus, the king of the old Greek titans. Guess where it lived? If you guessed Australia, then you have been paying attention to life. The head was up to 9 feet long. They could eat an entire modern man whole and still have room left over for half of another. It also has been suggested that since their flippers are so similar in design to those of modern sea turtles, that they may have crawled out onto land to lay eggs. You can be sure no one was digging up these things' nests to get at the eggs. Helicoprion. These sharks grew up to about 15 feet long and had a lower jaw that was made up of a toothed whorl. It looks like a cross between a circular saw and a shark, and when you mix apex predators with power tools, the world quacks in fear. Helicoprion's teeth were serrated, implying it that they were definitely carnivores. But there is some debate as to whether their teeth were in the front of the mouth, as shown in the picture, or if they were further back, which would suggest a softer diet like jellyfish. However, it was arranged. It clearly worked. Helicoprion survived the Permian-Triassic extinction, which means that they may have been smart enough to create a bomb shelters, or maybe they just live in the deep sea. Leviathan Melville. Remember me mentioning hypercarnivorous whale? Well, here it is. Imagine a cross between an orca and a sperm whale. Leviathan Melville was a whale that ate other whales. It had the largest teeth of any animal to use their teeth to eat, topping out at 1.18 feet. They lived in the same ocean and ate the same food as the megalodon. So, this whale actually had to compete with the largest predatory shark ever. Not to mention that their head was 10 feet long and featured the same echolocating equipment as modern toothed whales, making them much more effective in murky water. In case it was not obvious, this beast was named after the Leviathan, a giant sea monster from the Bible, and Herman Melville, who wrote Moby Dick. If the great white whale had been one of these, it would have eaten the Pequod and every aboard as a snake. The bloop. Bloop is an ultra-low frequency, high amplitude underwater sound detected by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration in 1997. It was said to be the breaking of icebergs. But again in 2012, scientists say it could be a sea creature. Now hear the sound recorded by Bloop.
This strange noise